What's up? What's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into a very special edition of MVP Sports Live. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful, my esteemed, my fellow co-host, Dave Oster.
Really got to land on a tagline for me at some point. Hey, everybody.
I mean, I just like going on with him. You're the beautiful, you're esteemed, you're fellow, the man, the myth, the legend. I kind of dropped that after a day. I'll eventually find something that fucking tickles my fancy, but we're back for another edition. This is a special edition because it has been asked for because we took a hiatus. The last one we did of these, there was a certain somebody along in here with us, Sean Anderson. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing great. We do miss you. The fans miss you. But we haven't done an NBA mock draft in a while, Dave. So you had asked me yesterday after the show, hey, could we do a mock draft? And I said, well, let's see what the news is. I would love to do one because I was thinking like, oh, we do it next week. You're like, no, I want to do it tomorrow, man. Which I'm like, okay, the news. Not a lot happening today. I mean, I know that Steven Silas is the head coach of the Rockets. We could talk about that later. Tony La Russa, head coach or the manager of the White Sox, can talk about that later.
We don't talk baseball anyway.
Fuck it. Let's do. I mean, we did talk about the White Sox. We did talk some baseball.
Yeah, we got called out pretty quickly in that video.
Oh, also, Dave, before we get into our mock draft, because I don't want this to split everything up, we have a wet boy today.
How?
We have one wet boy today from me. Do you want to know who the wet boy is?
Yeah.
Marcus Rashford of Manchester United had 3 goals in his game yesterday. They won 5-0. I thought it was a great performance. Like, you know, 4 shots on. He had 4 shots, 3 of them on target. All 3 on target hit, and he had no offside. So, you know, Marcus Rashford, you are the wet boy for today. Soccer, some will get mad. I'm sorry, football. So we do have a wet boy for today. Might not have one tomorrow, though. I don't know. I'm going to dive. The MLS is going on, so maybe I dive in to the MLS, but I did want to get that out of the way. Dave just covers his face. I thought you'd get a kick out of that one, Dave, but no.
Yep.
We're doing our mock draft today. How we're going to do it is we're going to split it into 2 because we don't want to just fucking wall of text you with 30 picks. So we're going to do the top 10. We're going to talk about the top 10. There's a lot to go over. And then we'll do the rest, 11 through 30 for this episode. Twitch chat, obviously. Join the Discord if you haven't already. Link down below or in Twitch chat. !Discord gets you that. If you love what you're checking out here, patreon.com/MVPvids. That's how you go ahead and support us. You can also support us by throwing us a sub on Twitch where we're live every Monday through Friday. Twitch.tv/MVPvids. But we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. So, Dave, let's not have the fans wait anymore. Let's go ahead with our mock draft. We'll start with the top 10. I'm going to have you go first, just like in Money, which is, I think, Mike, who we met at the Bulls game, is right. Got to get the buffer. It's time from the blue corner. Dave, what's your mock draft?
I'm going to preface this with, well, I did suggest this mock draft yesterday. I did not have time to do this draft today. That's why we're a little delayed. Work's a little busy.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple things floating, a couple things going on. With that being said, I mean, we've had a lot of time to think about these things, so a lot of this should make sense. And I will let you guys know we are including some trades.
Thank you. I forgot to say that.
Ricky did have a lot more than me. He was a little more active on his end than I was, but I got a couple for you just to start things off. So, number 1 overall, the Timberwolves, heavily rumored, and I will continue to assume until I hear otherwise, will be taking LaMelo Ball. Mm-hmm. Whether they keep him or not, that's not for me to say right now. They will be taking LaMelo Ball. At number 2, I've got the Warriors going with Denny Avdija. At 3, I've got the Hornets taking James Wiseman. At 4, I've got the Hawks trading up with the number 6 pick and DeAndre Hunter to take the 4th pick to take Anthony Edwards and getting Tomas Satoransky with him. At 5, I've got the Cavs taking Onyeka Okongwu. At 6, I've got the Bulls, who ended up with DeAndre Hunter from that trade, taking Killian Hayes. I got to move this over because I'm looking this way to read, and it's not good.
And then you're looking back. I get you.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So at 7, I've got the Pistons taking Tyrell Terry. At 8, I've got the Pelicans trading up for Tyrese Halliburton. At 9, I've got the Wizards taking Devin Vassell. And at 10, I've got the Suns taking Kira Lewis Jr. Now that trade at 8, I should specify.
The Pelicans Knicks trade.
Yeah. So the Pelicans are trading away Lonzo Ball, the 13 and the 39th pick overall in this draft,
Okay.
for Kevin Knox, Frank, and the number 8 overall pick in this draft.
Okay. I had a little bit more trades than you. I'll be honest. This draft is my my specify. I think this could be the craziest draft we see trade wise, because there's going to be people that are higher on some, and there's no like for sure locked in. I have a trade right off the bat. Number 1, the T-Wolves are not keeping their pick. Dave said LaMelo goes number 1, but he might not stay there. I said the T-Wolves just give up the pick. They're going to make a trade with the Hornets. The Hornets are getting number 1, and they're going to give up the 3rd and then a first-round pick in 2022. They're going to get their guy in James Wiseman to jump the Warriors, because the Warriors are also high on them. Then the Warriors are going to come calling, and they're going to pick up the phone. The Bulls are going to be calling, and the Bulls are going to say, hey, we didn't expect LaMelo to be here, but LaMelo is here. How about we make a deal? And the Warriors go, yes. Another trade for number 2. The Warriors get Otto Porter Jr., Thad Young, and the 4th overall pick. Maybe that's too much, but I threw in Thad Young because Otto's only got 1 year left. So they get Otto, Thad, and the 4th. Bulls get the 2nd overall pick. Maybe you throw Wiggins in there. But Bulls move up to 2. They get LaMelo Ball. The T-Wolves then stay at 3. They go Denny Abdia from overseas. The Warriors at 4 then go Obi Toppin, a guy that they've been rumored at to go at with 2. Then at 5, the Kings move up with the Cavs because there's one guy left, Anthony Edwards. So Edwards is going to go to the Kings after the Cavs get Buddy Hield in the 12th, and the Kings get Andre Drummond in the 5th. Anthony Edwards is now in Sacramento. Then at 6, my last trade of the top 10, my last trade of the mock draft, the Hawks move down. The Spurs move up. They get the 6th pick. They are sending DeMar DeRozan and the 11th to Atlanta, and the Spurs take Isaac Okoro at 6. Then the Pistons go Killian Hayes at 7. The Knicks go Tyrese Halliburton at 8. The Wizards go Onyeka Okongwu at 9. And then the Suns go Devin Vassell from Florida State at 10. So yes, I had a lot of trades in that top 6, but then it kind of settles out a little bit. And Dave, that's the thing I want to talk about. There are many teams in this top 10 who are going to be looking to trade. I want to hit most of them. And the first one, Soapy and I had this discussion. Link on YouTube will pop up over our heads. Dave, who do the T-Wolves make a deal with on draft night? Because the consensus around blog boys, draft experts, analytic nerds, anybody, is that the T-Wolves are going to be moving this pick. They will not pick at number 1. Who makes that deal? Who's the team that does trade up and makes the number 1 pick?
I mean, everybody can say what they want. It can all be smoke screens, dude. That's the season. We got 3 weeks to go until this draft. And I'm pretty sure I've heard out of the Timberwolves that they're willing to trade that pick. They'd rather trade out than make the decision because, you know, clearly they're horrible decision makers. Their GM literally, new GM to the team, came in and restructured the entire team in a matter of like one season, basically, with that trade deadline sweepstakes they did. So I don't know what I believe out of that deal. I've heard, I mean, the Warriors being interested in about every top guy outside of like I think LaMelo Ball. They've really liked. They had a great interview with them, so it's like I think every team right now is kind of blowing a lot of smoke out there and just seeing what sticks. So if the Timberwolves are saying that they're trading that pick, well, shoot, that if it's not to us, I wonder who it is, and maybe how much do we want to give up to get into that position? If they're trading it, definitely like maybe we can get a good deal on that too. Instead, maybe we can snipe that trade out from them. So I think it's just a lot of talk right now. Now, I do concede the point that they do have D'Angelo Russell and they do have Cat, and they are hoping to win some games this year and not be a bottom dweller. So I understand why LaMelo Ball might not fit in at the base level and be like, oh, well, you can't put LaMelo Ball next to D'Lo. Like, how's that going to work? You got no backcourt defense. So get it. Again, it's not ideal, but I think right now the Timberwolves, they're not under a timeline to make a deal happen. They can take LaMelo Ball on draft day and just decide what to do after. Like there's the free agency sounds like it's going to open up just a couple days after the draft happens. So I think that might be like we might have maybe a soft handshake deal or something along those lines that'll happen, but the actual trade might not happen until after the fact.
Well, there's a lot of, like you said, could be smoke screens, but there's a lot of players that could be in for this. Where Retro, and he's kind of saying the same one that I put in my mock, that the Hornets want Wiseman. That's pretty much the one that they've come out and said they could trade up because the Warriors, like we said, you mentioned, there's 4 guys. Everyone besides LaMelo, Denny, and
they really like that. They really like James.
It started with Anthony Edwards. It was like, man, they really like Anthony Edwards. They don't like Wiseman. Then it was, oh, well, Wiseman and Edwards really like shocked them. Then it was like, oh, well, Denny could be in play. They really like that. And now this week it's like, oh, Obi Toppin could be a surprise pick for them at 2. So it's like really a lot. I've also seen that if they trade down, being the Warriors, that like Sadiq Bey could be a target that they looked for between 8 and 10. But like
a Warriors pick.
The Hornets are one team. The Bulls could trade up because are the Bulls going to trade down? Or are they going to stay? We've talked about that as well. Could they move up for a LaMelo? The Knicks, they're the one that really intrigues me because there's a deal floating around in the blogosphere that is basically involving like Mitchell Robinson in the 8th for the 1st overall, which if I'm Minnesota and Mitch Rob is in a deal, I fucking take it because I need defense. And I know that fucking Minnesota fans, they blasted me for saying Wiseman would be a good pick at 1 because the whole like, oh, well, Cat's defense isn't like, I know Cat's defense isn't the best outside, but the one thing you can do and the one thing the T-Wolves don't have right now is someone behind him so that when if he is on the outside, if someone blows past him, he's getting to the rim. Well, if you have a Wiseman, if you have a Mitch Rob, hell, if you even have an Onyeka Okongwu behind Cat, then he can hurt you. You got fucking help defense behind you. You have a rim protector. So, like, that's the thing where it's like, if Mitch Rob's in the deal, it intrigues me more for the T-Wolves. But,
you have to ask, though. LaMelo hasn't been linked to any future interviews with the Knicks. No. So he's got his second round of interviews set out, and the Knicks aren't on that list.
Yeah. I think the stuff with the Knicks kind of died down really quick because I think with the Knicks, it's coming down to what is it going to take to move up to 1 or 2? Yeah. Like, do you like...
It's probably going to take a future next year, and that's the problem. Like, it's a swap and a future. Or that's a lot. Next year's class looks loaded.
I think it's dependent on the young players. Like, I've seen Frank be thrown around, and I look at it and I go, if I'm Thibs, I don't want to give up Frank yet because I don't know what he's going to do in my system. I don't want to give up a Mitch Rob. Really, the only one I'd want to give up is Kevin Knox, but who's going to want Kevin Knox? Like, that's my thing, is who is going to realistically want Kevin Knox in a deal? Nobody.
Well, I gave the Pelicans Kevin Knox in my deal.
Yeah, but do you think like a team like the T-Wolves or the Warriors are going to want a Kevin Knox? No, they're going to want like a Mitch Rob or a Frank.
Championship probably doesn't want Kevin Knox because he's a project still, even though he's been in the league a couple of years. He came in as one of the youngest players in his draft class, and he's been trying to find out what his niche is. He was always that like master of none, but good at everything was his whole thing. And like we've seen a couple flashes, but we've never seen him really find a groove. So I think that teams who have time and can give him playing time consistently, because that's something he's never had in his career, and good coaching, something he's never had in his career. We'd love to see what he can do out there. Because again, you can't say it's all on him. He definitely has not lived up to a lot of potential, though.
Yeah, because like the thing you bring up is like, oh, you included Kevin Knox in your Pelicans deal. Yeah, but that's the Knicks trading back. Like trading back is different than trading up. In my mind, where you're going to have to give up a bigger asset. And that's like T-Wolves or Warriors now. Because like when I got to the Warriors, it was kind of an interesting situation of it. There were 3 kind of subsets in my mind. The first one was nobody's going to make a deal. The Warriors are going to be stuck here. And if they're stuck there, I go Wiseman because I figure the only thing they really need is a center, and with fucking Wiseman being a rim protector and offensively being good in transition, I feel like that would fit with the Warriors. But then it was like, well, the Suns could move up and they could give like Oubre in the 10th for the second, which maybe the Warriors want because Oubre can stretch the floor, can shoot from the outside at either the 3 or the 4. The Bulls, will they want an Obi? Would they want an Otto Porter or a Thad Young? Like, the Warriors are the one pick in the top 3 where I'm like, I want to say it gets moved, but I don't know if it gets moved.
I think they're okay staying pat. That's the weird thing. I don't think they feel the need to move it. I think we all just want to mock it because it's like, well, think of all the guys they could get. But when you do, you're like, shit, there's really not any perfect deals out there. Nothing really calls them as like, they're not going to walk with Bradley Beal for the 2. You know, that's not happening. So when you look realistically, like the best you can get is maybe a non-fit, hurt Victor Oladipo, who has not looked great as of late, or like a busted up, seasonal perennial Kevin Love. Like, who knows? So I don't know. There's just not a lot of great fits out there at the moment who are being shopped. I think they can take a high caliber player at this point. That's why I like Denny going here, because I'm like, hey, high basketball IQ. He's been a role player on his team so far. When he gets his moments, he can shine. He's incredibly athletic for his position and his size. So I'd love to see what they could do with him in space, and with the amount of looks that he would have to get, it would work out really well. He's not super ball selfish out there,
Yeah, and I mean, the thing too of like, yes, the Warriors are doing their due diligence on guys that are going to be around 8 through 10, because the Bradley Beal stuff has been rumored. We don't know behind closed doors how serious that is. The Suns could be like, to me, the thing with the Suns and why they could be in the run for it is
let me know.
The point guards. Like, to me, the Suns were in. So for my research and what I was doing is a mock draft that has no trades. And really, it's like, I feel like Halliburton, Hayes, and Ball are done by 10. They're realistically done by 10. All of them are gone because the Knicks would take it, the Bulls would take it, and the Pistons, all teams who could take point guards at the top, to where it's like, if you're the Suns, what do you go with? Do you go with an Okoro because you want that defense? Do you go with a Precious Achua or a Patrick Williams for defense down low? Because basically the thing that I read was like a Patrick Williams would be good because he could fit the same role that Dario Saric did in the bubble, but he's more athletic. He's got more potential and he's more athletic than a Dario Saric, to where it's like, but will the Suns go, yeah, but we want fucking a Ball. We want a Halliburton. We want a Hayes. Let's go trade up and get it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's
if
the
they're going
thing.
for a superstar, could work out. I don't know. It's just, the Suns moving up, it doesn't jive with me. I don't know why I have such a block there. I'm like, I think it's because I don't see a drop off in guards. Like, I think you talked about the top 3 guards being Killian Hayes, LaMelo Ball.
You have Tyrell Terry in your top 10. I don't.
I have Tyrell Terry in my top 10. I also have Kira Lewis Jr. In my top 10.
Yeah.
And I think both of those guys are right there with it. Like, those 2 guys, I don't think the drop-off is as dramatic as I had thought going early on. I think having this extended season of scouting, basically, being able to see these guys progress over the summer, watching Tyrell Terry add 15 pounds to his frame and get an inch taller on official measurements, like, that's huge. That turns him from somebody who we had concerns because, like, his frame would never hold up at 160. Like, but at 175, that means he's only a couple pounds off of, being in that Steph Curry, Dame Lillard range as far as his body build. So you have a whole lot more positivity to take away, knowing that, hey, this guy's busting his ass trying to get his workout on, and we're not even in season right now. So, like, the work ethic looks good. Everything checks out. And Tyrell Terry was someone who I think it was one of those situations where he'd kind of gone under the radar because of where he was playing at. And his shooting's really good. He seems like a willing passer, and he can rebound really well. So, like, he checks a lot of the boxes you want in a modern day point guard. Someone who can score first, who still moves the ball, and who can go aggressively at the rim and push the ball in transition. So, like, I think you're going to see Tyrell Terry going a lot higher than a lot of people expected. I've seen him in a lot of talks somewhere between the Sixers and Lakers. So that mid-20s range.
Yeah.
I think that's a joke at this point. I think he's going way higher than that.
Yeah, and I mean, we're going to get into 11 through 30 later, but like for me, the Kira Lewis Jr. one, I don't see that as like crazy. I don't really see Tyrell Terry as crazy. I just don't know if he goes top 10. Like Kira Lewis will start being in play for the Suns because like I think how I had it was the top 3 available were Precious, Patrick Williams, and Isaac Okoro. And that was like, well, Kira Lewis is there, and that's really what I think the Phoenix Suns, if the Phoenix Suns come out with a point guard to really be behind Rubio and play in some like Kira Lewis Jr., I think it would be sit behind Rubio, but be the change of pace point guard until like they're ready to move on from Rubio.
Right.
That could work for them. It's just like if a Patrick Williams is there, do you go with the more ready prospect, or do you think
Patrick
that like
Williams is not more ready? Let me just say that.
more NBA ready? Because everything I'm reading is that he's one of the most NBA ready in this draft.
He has a frame that is NBA ready. He is strong, but that doesn't mean his skill set is NBA ready. I think that's
And he's got
concerning.
stuff to work on. Like all these guys have stuff to work on.
I think he's the second youngest player from America in this draft. If I recall correctly, he's very young. I still think he's pretty raw. I think his shot is not 100% on the outside. He's only a 32% 3-point shooter out there. Look, he's got good size. He's got slow hips, though. He's not a perfect prospect. Now, I love him. I still think he's, probably going to end up in my like top, probably right around 10 in my power rankings. But he's not like a plug and play starter day one in my mind.
Yeah, Patrick Williams is 19 years old right now. He was a freshman. Cool. Yeah, I'm just putting it out there because you said he was one of the youngest.
He is.
Yeah. He's the same age.
19 years old gives no context to that. I'm sorry.
He's the same age as Edwards and Ball.
Yeah, but like at what point in the year? But yeah.
I mean, I'm going off a Tankathon. They both have Edwards, Ball, and Williams at 19.2 years old. So
there you go.
Literally the same.
Anyway, my point being, no, he's not the most NBA ready. He's good. He's still got a lot of shit to work through. And, I think that they have someone better at the starting 4 in Cam Johnson.
Yeah.
They drafted him last year as one of the older players in the draft early on because he could knock down threes and play decent defense. He did exactly that in the bubble. So I think they're going for somebody who can keep that second unit running. When they did not have Rubio out there, they really struggled as a team. And with Rubio and his questionable health, now you have to put an asterisk there. I know his whole career he's been mixed health. We'll just say mixed. He's not been beacon of health. He's missed some games here and there. And they need someone who can move the ball. So that's why I'm like, I totally get the point guard need there. That's why I weighed a little more heavily towards here. Because I would have put Patrick Williams there myself, but I had to go towards point guard because I just felt like their need to have a successor to Rubio on the books guaranteed because they've taken like those long range shots. They've been like, we'll take a shot at who's the French kid who I really liked, and they took him
Eli Okubo.
Okubo. We'll take a shot at him. He had a fire couple games right into the draft time, and he got picked up. I think they picked up Javon Carter. I think they picked up somebody else too. Like they've been taking all these like high ceiling kind of prospects, but super low floor, and they haven't really landed on their spot. Ellie looks more like a 2 guard, but he honestly isn't better than a lot of the guys they've got on that rotation now. So they're all fighting for time. They need somebody who can come in, step in. Yeah, Campaign looked great, weirdly enough. That was disturbing to me as a Bulls fan. I think they need someone who can step in, generate offense.
That's how it works, though, Dave. Spencer Dinwiddie campaign. Shit for us, great for other teams.
I want to hear it. They need someone who can step in, move the ball, and Kira Lewis has incredible speed, great first step, and he gets to the bucket. So, like, I think that one, even though it's like, hey, it's a bench, but it's also like a flexed out role because you're like, hey, if Rubio misses time or we can run 3 guard lineups, like that team has a lot of flexibility, which I like for Phoenix going forward.
So the next kind of thing I want to segue into is the Atlanta Hawks, because this is the freshest news that we're getting. This is from yesterday. And of course, Dave, The article I'm looking at is NBC Sports, but the guy they're curating is your favorite blog boy. So I just want to
is it
put that out there. It is KOC. Basically, the article reads, Trae Young and the Hawks entered last season with big hype. Young met it, the Hawks didn't. Atlanta finished 20-47, which frustrated Young, but at least brought the number 6 pick in the 26th draft. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer said this: the Hawks are shopping their first-round pick and intend to push for the playoffs, according to multiple league sources. Kind of the consensus is that the Hawks want to win now with Trae Young. They want to not miss that window, and they want to do that by looking for somebody. They want to do what the Warriors are doing, but they have the 6th pick, not the 2nd pick, Dave.
They don't want to be the Suns.
Yeah, they don't want to.
They don't want to let Trae Young turn into a disgruntled Devin Booker.
Good point. That's actually a really good point. What do you think? Do you think they get one done? Like, do they get the one that I kept saying, and that's the one I put in my mock draft, is Spurs move up DeMar DeRozan, who that's another Molotov cocktail all in itself. Is apparently DeMar DeRozan's not happy in San Antonio. San Antonio could look to move up in the draft for somebody that they like and kind of shop a DeMar DeRozan to get that top 7 pick, is I think what people are looking for. Like a Cavs, Hawks, and Pistons are the 3 that I keep seeing thrown out there.
Yeah.
Could the Hawks and the Spurs maybe be perfect trade partners here?
Yeah, I like the idea of DeMar moving on. He would be a great partner for Trae Young out there offensively, because while Trae Young makes people guard him out at, the fucking half court line because he's got limitless range. I mean, DeMar DeRozan runs that mid range. He's a monster, and he is just absolutely fantastic. He can still move the ball really well. I think what we saw out of him last year in the Spurs, having to play the 3, made him a more willing passer, because they were still basically running with half a point guard at times. As far as facilitation was concerned, he was still the guy moving the ball. So I like the idea of pairing him with someone who, is an incredible shooter and an incredible passer, and Trae Young. I think he would be a great guy to have on that team because he's got playoff experience. He's been there, done that. He ran to the LeBron wall I don't know how many times.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think DeMar DeRozan going to that Hawks team to help them out is a huge move. I would like that as well. I think the other names we've heard, Gordon Hayward has been floated around, as well as Victor Oladipo. 2 more stars, or former stars, whatever you want, injured stars. Guys who could bump them over the level to get them into the running for the playoffs in the East. I think all 3 of those guys could be a huge addition for this team. It just depends on, they've got the money, and they're a team where I don't know if they're a free agency, location. So if they're like, hey, if we get them here for 1 year and we do well, we can offer them up a good chunk of money and maybe they'll just stay.
I mean,
I think that's the thing.
Many sites that I'm seeing are planning on it's the whole thing of I think about the White Sox in baseball, but when Bryce Harper and Machado were free agents, of people expect the Hawks to be aggressive this free agency. But then at the same time, I look at it and go, will any free agents actually want to play for Atlanta? Will they buy in on you know what? Me, Trae Young, what this team is cooking with, I can win with this. They just need me as the missing piece. Will someone buy in on that? Right. I don't know.
Trae Young is statistically the worst defender in NBA history, so it's going to be an uphill battle one way or the other.
And that's why there's a part of me that's with Hayes and Halliburton there's a part of me that's I get that neither of those guys help you win now. Neither of those guys add anything to what a DeMar DeRozan would add. But there's a part of me to where it's there could be 2 guys there that match really well with Trae Young, especially defensively, especially a Halliburton, who can play. Yes, he can play the 1 when Trae, with rotations when Trae's not out there. But if Trae's out there, boom, slide Halliburton to the 2. It works. There's a part of me that's are we trying to accelerate things too quickly for the Hawks to where it's Trae's not old. Steph Curry didn't become Steph Curry until after his what was it, fifth year, 8th year? Was it that late?
No,
not after. Basically, what I'm saying is not after year 1 or year 2 was Steph. Are we trying to accelerate Trae Young too quickly instead of trying to organically build a team that could then become a champion, could become a playoff threat?
I think you just got to have the right locker room guys around. We talked about this before, and it's just when you have a culture of a bunch of kids running the place, they're going to lose a lot of games.
Yeah.
Having Vince Carter there was massive for them as a team because it kept a level head and a vet in that locker room.
And their vets right now are John Collins and Clint Capella.
Yeah.
Two.
Yeah, you need a vocal leader in that locker room who's got some experience. So I like the DeMar pickup. I think that'd be a good play. I went in a different direction. I went for try landing a superstar in the draft.
Yep.
I think in my mind, I think they go aggressive. As a Bulls fan, I don't want to draft Anthony Edwards.
Yep. Same.
But as a Hawks fan, I think that taking a shot at someone who has superstar potential with his raw athleticism, his ability to attack the bucket at all times from anywhere on the court, like I would love to see what he can do in a system that's not put 110% on his shoulders. Can he play with a head coach who's giving him directions? Can he play with somebody else who controls the ball and the tempo? So it just turns into like, how much do you believe in the negatives that have buried what was once the number one prospect in this class?
Yeah.
I think after like week 3 of the season when Wiseman was done, I think Anthony Edwards had jumped up in a lot of people's minds to the number one prospect. But then after the season ended, basically it was like, well, the guy's got low basketball IQ, poor decision making, horrible shot selection, questionable motivation. All of these things come into kind of people's sights, and it's well, there's a lot of negatives there for a top prospect. So I think they look at like, hey, not many guys who are 6'5" with that kind of strength, that kind of speed, that kind of wingspan, come out of nowhere. So like, if we have a chance to get him, and we only have to give up a slight move, like this could be a huge win for them. So
my thought on Edwards has changed a little bit. Dave, you know me. I used to call him Anthony Bennett 2.0, especially if he's drafted number 1.
Yeah.
I've changed a little bit.
Is he Deion Waiters now?
No, he's Anthony Wiggins, Dave. Just call him Anthony Wiggins because that's what he is. Go
watch a video from me from 9 months ago.
Yeah, I know. But like the more I think about it, I'm kind of on the train that you were earlier of if you're a team, like that's why Andrew Wiggins, I almost mixed that up. Andrew Wiggins looked good on the Warriors because I know Steph and Clay weren't there this year, but it's a team that knows what they're doing. Like if Anthony Edwards goes to a team that knows what he's doing, he has the potential. But like the thing that kind of spurs me with Edwards, and I know some people say it's not a big deal, I think it kind of is. No matter what level of basketball he's been at, team hasn't won anything. Like Georgia should have been in a national tournament. Like they should have made the tournament cut. They wouldn't have made the cut if there was a tournament, Dave. That to me is a problem if you're going to be a top 3 pick. That's why to me it's like I'm scared of Anthony Edwards because I feel like if it's Wiseman, Ball, and Edwards top 3, hell, if it's even Wiseman, Edwards, and Denny top 3, I feel like our 2 hit, 1 don't. Edwards is the one that's not going to hit. Like, that's just how I feel. And like I know Soapy in Twitch chat goes, well, Georgia sucked. There have been many, many players in college that have willed their team into a 68 now because of the play-in games, a 68 team bracket. Like, it's not hard to make March Madness. It really isn't, especially if you're a Power 5 conference. So like that's the thing that worries me when it comes to Edwards. I don't know. He doesn't jive with me.
Yeah, I understand, man.
One question I do have, and this goes back to the Hawks, though. Could a team like the Kings be in play? If they and this would have to be a very, situational thing. Let's say the Kings like a Devin Vassell. They like because, yet again, Kings blog boys are different than draft analysts.
True.
I'm seeing a lot of Obi Toppin. Like, oh, man, if Obi Toppin was there at 12, that would be a dream. We would love Obi Toppin at 12. Could there be a deal, let's say, if the Kings want an Obi Toppin, if they want even like a Halliburton, even like a Vassell, even like they have someone they want to trade up for at 6. Yep. Could Buddy Hield be a veteran that entices the Hawks to do a deal with the Kings?
I mean, Buddy Hield could move a lot of things. He has value on the open market. We're talking about one of the greatest shooters in the NBA right now. Like he is high volume, high efficiency. I know his efficiency dropped from last year where he was just fire,
Yeah.
but he is still pretty elite on the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think he's even better if they run up tempo offense, which the Hawks move the ball. Trae Young is a vacuum. He just gravity of defenders have to attack him.
Mm-hmm.
So moving the ball over to a buddy would be possible if they want to go all the way up for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like there's just there's a lot of potential movement around Buddy Hield.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the one that we've all heard is the 76ers and Buddy Hield trying to solve all their problems. But going in the other direction, going to the top of the draft, I think a lot of teams at the top would be interested.
So the one thing I question is, how's Buddy, like, would Buddy and Trae defensively be a good pair?
No.
Like, that's the thing. That's the only worry I have is, like, if Buddy Hield got traded to the Hawks, Bulls would be my favorite team, Dave. Warriors move over. Hawks are my new fucking bandwagon to jump
on. Warriors East, baby.
Yeah, Warriors East, because Trae Young, one of my favorite prospects coming out of college. Buddy Hield, Wooden Award winner. Put some respect on that name. One of my favorite players coming out of Toppin. They would just get Obi Toppin, and they'd be my favorite team of all time. Maybe even topping the Bulls.
Moving John Collins?
Yeah, they would have to trade John Collins. Sorry, John. We're putting the Ricky draft team together, though, Dave. That's just one team that I thought of. There's two other teams trade-wise that are interesting here. The first one, Soapy, cover your ears. It's the Pistons. And the reason why I bring them up is Killian Hayes, I think, is the pick. If he's there, he's the pick. Maybe a Tyrese Halliburton kind of persuades them. But they're going point guard, in my mind. However, let's say ring, ring, Dave, pick up that phone. Danny Ainge decides to actually call them. Like,
I don't believe it.
If you're the Pistons, do you think about trading back if a team... I think the Celtics are the only ones here because they're the only ones with multiple picks. If they're like hey, we want to trade up with you. There's a part of me that goes, the Pistons, one pick is not greater than 2 or 3 picks. I'm thinking more 2. I'm thinking more 14 and 26 are in that deal, not all 3 of them.
Yeah.
Do you pull that trigger? Do you try to trade back if you're the Detroit Pistons?
I would. I think I would. I noticed you left out Tyrell Terry there when you're talking about point guards for the Pistons, but I'll forgive you for
I'm not high on Terry like you are. I think Terry is outside the top 10.
Shoots 40% from 3 and moves the ball around and is big, strong, and can get rebounds. Yeah, who'd want that guy? Anyway, not salty at all, Ricky. Don't worry about me. The Celtics, I agree with our boy in chat there, Soaps. Like, if you're trading back as the Pistons, yes, you do need assets. This is a team that is in a weird vacuum of right now their core is question mark. They've got a Derrick Rose who, from all sounds, from all rumors, from everything he is going to get moved and on a great value because he's on a decent deal and everybody really is looking for that kind of a point guard to help them when it comes down to crunch time. Blake Griffin with the injury questions, who the hell knows what he's going to look like? I mean, when he was healthy 2 years ago, top 5 player in the NBA. Now, I don't know if he's worth, a first round pick. I don't know what to expect out of Blake Griffin in his health.
Yeah.
So what? You've got Luke Kennard, Sekou Demboya, and Christian Wood, who isn't even on your team technically because he's going to be a free agent. So you got a lot of fucking holes on that roster. You better take that deal. You can trade back. There's a depth of point guards available in this draft. I think it's 5 deep.
Yeah.
And then you got other interesting options. RJ Hampton was one, but again, we've heard RJ Hampton,
could be there at 14. Yeah, could be there at 14 where the Celtics would be.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We've heard the Celtics really high on RJ Hampton, so it's okay, if they're moving up, who are they moving up for in this one?
Probably, in my mind, it's either an Obi Toppin or an Onyeka Okongwu, like a big. Okay. To Both me, it's more of the Okongwu side of it. But from what I've read, the Celtics, Obi Toppin intrigues them, Dave. Danny Ainge could try to trade up for Obi. For me, though, it's if the Celtics are moving up to 7, they're trying to because I think Obi will be gone by 7. Because I think the Cavs take him if there's not a trade. if the Celtics trade up to 7, it's to get a Kongwu, because if a Kongwu's there at 9, the Wizards take him, no question.
Yeah, apparently that's already been locked in, according to the blog boys out there. That Okongwu is locked to the Wizards if he's available. So we'll see what happens on draft night, but I wouldn't put my money on it.
Yeah,
I think he'd be gone by then. But yeah, you take that deal for the Pistons. You need to rebuild, and how do you rebuild with more draft picks? 100% in on that deal. I think that's a great move if they can get a 2-for-1 or a 2+1, something like that. Maybe they steal a young prospect, because the Celtics have about 15 fucking guys on the roster.
Carson Edwards, is he putting the deal? Get him a little point guard?
I don't like Carson Edwards.
It's either Carson Edwards. What are they going to trade Grant Williams? Like, it's either
he started. He was a closer for them.
I think the only one the Celtics would want to or be okay parting with is Carson Edwards. You're not going to get a Langford. You're not going to get a Williams.
Probably not getting a Langford. Williams.
Do you want the Time Lord?
Maybe.
I don't know.
It's something to consider, though.
The last team is the Knicks. I know we talked about a little bit moving up, but I did want to touch on trading back.
That's me.
Do the Knicks trade back like you have them with the Pelicans?
Yeah, I like this deal a lot for both teams. I think this is a problem solver. The New York Knicks want a point guard. Now, in this draft class, there are a plethora. We talked about this, but would any fit your head coach better than Lonzo Ball? Someone who is known for his defense. He gets in people's ways. He can cluster into passing lanes. He can get his arms out there. Great passer. It's just a question of what do you see his upside at? Do you think that he has better potential? You lock him in rather than playing the wait and see game with another top 10 pick. And I'll be honest, if I'm a Knicks fan, I'm a little jaded, and we've kind of missed on a lot of these fucking top 10 picks lately. So I'm a little concerned. So I think getting a sure thing in landing Lonzo Ball, and then you get 13 and 39. So you now have, I think, 3 second-rounders at that point, which means you can trade back into the first, which I was going to have them do, but I ran out of time today, so we got to Clips mock. But yeah, I think that the idea that, hey, it's a win-win deal. The Knicks get their point guard locked in. They go back to 13, where there's still plenty of great prospects available in this class, and they add in another second rounder, which they can use to capitalize and move back into the first if they see a guy they love. And the Pels, well, the Pelicans get some interesting pieces to work with. They get Frank, they get Kevin Knox, and they get that 8th overall pick, where I had them go with a Tyrese Halliburton, someone who gives me that Drew Holiday light vibes,
Do you think, in retro, I just want to say this in Twitch chat, we will get to that question. We'll get to that in the 11 through 30 with the Clippers trading into the first round. Just want to make sure we'll get to that. The question I have for you, Dave, though, is you said you included Frank in the deal, right?
Yes.
So you see, because here was my problem, and this was, again, even with the Knicks trading up, is with Thibodeau, I almost look at it and it's would Frank be a guy that Thibodeau looks at and this Knicks team looks at and goes, I don't know if I want to move on from him. Could he be a block of the Knicks not quite sure if they want to move on or not? Because for me, when I had the Knicks trading back originally with the Kings, I had Buddy Hield in their pick, the Kings pick, for Dennis Smith Jr. and the Knicks pick, mainly also because Dennis Smith Jr. 1 year, they can just fuck it. We're done with you at the end of the year. And the only reason I put in Dennis Smith Jr. was because I didn't know if the Knicks would be open to trading Frank.
Now, I'm going to just get this out of the way and say a lot of people on forums, such as Reddit, really love Frank, and they really overrate Frank's progression.
My question is, do the Knicks love Frank? That's my question.
Yeah, I'm putting this out. Yeah. I'm just clarifying things because I don't want to get attacked. I love Frank too.
Dave's I'm putting up the shield.
I love Frank too. I think he has potential to be a fantastic player. He's not ever going to be your star
everyday point guard.
He's not a star. He's not a guy who's going to go out there and be a court general or a floor general. He's not that passing quality. That's why I think they go, hey, you're good, but you're like backup point guard good. You've got versatility. We can have you guard ones, twos, threes even out there. And every once in a while you do pop off and give us like a lot of hope that I'm like, damn, this kid could be good. But like, I think Tom Thibodeau, A, hates young kids. B, loves defense. So like he's definitely got some respect for Frank. But the idea of landing in someone who absolutely can be a starting point guard in the NBA. I think at the end there, he was putting up like 14, 8, and 6 with the Pelicans. I love the idea of them locking in Alonzo Ball. And they go ahead and they help themselves with Halliburton. I'm sorry, the Pelicans, they're like, hey, we move on from Lonzo Ball. That's cool. We'll pick up Halliburton. We'll be fine here. Lonzo Ball is the sure thing for the Knicks, and that's why I think they take him. They take the guy who fits the coach, fits the timeline. And yes, moving on from Frank sucks. Yes, moving on from Kevin Knox. I'm sure a lot of Knicks fans aren't losing a lot of sleep about that, but like you have to do it. I think the time's right, and I think the Pelicans are a team that can experiment and play out those guys and see what happens because they've got their 2 stars locked in Brandon Ingram. Well, his contract will come shortly. Obviously, he's an RFA this offseason, likely getting a fucking max. And Zion Williamson. So like they've got their 2 guys. Drew is a perfect piece to be a veteran on that roster and mentor. Like I think it's like an all around win trade, but I'll be curious to see what fans think about that one.
Yeah, for me and the Knicks, it's like trading back. I wouldn't be mad if they traded back, but it's like they're limited in trade partners to me because the only, I'll say 3-4 teams, maybe 5 is between like 11 and 15 where the Spurs, but are they going to try to move up for a bigger fish? The Kings could, the Pelicans like you, the Magic are just like on the outside where I don't think they move. I don't think they trade unless like they actually do move on from Aaron Gordon or Nikola Vucevic because like.
Or Mo Bamba.
Or Mo Bamba. Did you hear what Paul Pierce said about the Magic?
No.
That they should trade, or it was about the Warriors, but had the Magic in it, that the Warriors should trade the second pick for Nikola Vucevic.
I mean, I've heard crazier.
Yeah, I was like, ooh, would they even want a Nikola Vucevic? Like, to me, it's like the Celtics, Kings, Spurs, and Pelicans are like the 4 that are like, are they going to try to move up for 8? Who's going to try to move up, above the Wizards for, like, if someone wants a Nneka Okongwu, because I don't think he leaves the top 10. If Obi Toppin falls, I think he is a prospect that some people will fall in love with and want to trade up for because they feel like he's not going to leave the top 10. Or if like an Isaac Okoro falls. But like for me, the Knicks, I look at it and it's like, yeah, I know Tibbs hates young guys. Like I hate it because there are rookies that he could definitely play. But like you look at the guys who could be in play there, and some of them are in play for me here. Like Isaac Okoro could be in play. He wasn't for me because of that Spurs trade. Devin Vassell, Precious Achiuwa, or even like an RJ Hampton on the outside because there are
the ball on the team, Ricky.
There are rumors, and like I get that. The point guard is their biggest need, but I'm saying if the point guard's not there, trading back is not bad. I think RJ Hampton could help them in that point guard setting, although he's not a true point guard. He's more of that combo guard. I think he could fit. Yeah. I think he could fit with RJ Barrett, though. The only difference is I wouldn't be mad if they sat there at 8 and took like an Okoro, a Vassell, or an Achiuwa. Hell, even a Patrick Williams, if they thought that, hey, this guy under Thibodeau, like Thibodeau can unlock his defense. And that's why I like Vassell the best if they're going to stay at 8, because Thibodeau can help him make his defense better, and he's got more of an offense. He's got a better offensive game for right now for the Knicks than an Isaac Okoro does.
Yeah, no one would ever argue that. I'm super low on Okoro, so I've got him falling out of mine. Mm-hmm. I think that if they're not reaching for a point guard at 8, like if they won't go point guard or bust there, they're gonna have to overpay in free agency for a point guard. Yeah, like Fred VanVleet's gonna get a $25-30 million offer a year from the Knicks then. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if that's a great fit, but they need someone who can pass the ball because RJ Barrett can't do it on his own. Mm-hmm. is not ready for that. He does not have the skill set to do that. This team was bad because Dennis Smith Jr. was in the G League part of last year. Like, he's a mystery.
Could
I don't know how,
question?
they don't have a
then,
point guard. They need someone who can initiate offense and run an offense out there. So
could they say that's the 27th pick's problem? Let's get that with the 27th. Let's get like if a Cole Anthony falls, could that be their deal? Like, could they look to say, hey, we'll get that with the later pick?
I don't know that I've seen a 27th overall pick become the starting point guard and lead a team to wins ever in NBA history. Ever.
I mean, there have been some good later picks. Yet again, that's the thing about the draft. Like, we've seen second rounders who are now fucking like stables of teams. Talk about Draymond.
Right. I'm saying point guard though.
I mean, wasn't Jimmy Butler a second rounder? I know he's not a point guard.
Only first. Okay. He was the end of the first.
Okay. But yet again, he's not a point guard, but like ball handler can lead an offense. Like, I don't know, like just because he's not a point guard doesn't mean.
I'm just asking for a point guard. Like, someone who can run an offense, like, in a system where Tom Thibodeau is not an offensive coach. So you need someone who is truly exceptional on the offensive end, who can take care of themselves and the ball. That's my concern. Is that combination in New York? I feel there's a level of desperation around point guard. And that's why I've got them going back and being like, Lonzo Ball's our guy. We wish we could get his brother. We're going to take Lonzo because we know he can play defense. We know he can pass the ball. We know an offense can be built around him, and he's not super ball dominant. So RJ Barrett, as a secondary ball handler, will thrive with somebody next to him who can run an offense.
I just look at it and I go, of course, it gets a little murky as you go on, but like the point guard position is the most interesting of all the positions in this draft because we've got the top three. In my mind, it's the top three are Ball, Hayes, Halliburton. Then after that, it's the Kira Lewis and the Tyrell Terry that are right there of like those top five are like those are the ones you're going for. After that, though, it's like, who do you like better than the others? There's Cole Anthony, there's Theo Maledon, there's Trey Jones. All three of those are projected to be first rounders. But like even after that, a Nico Mannion, who I don't like him in a top 10. I do like what he brings to the table, and I think that he can fit what you want in New York. It's just can you bring out that and develop that? Some people are high on a Cassius Winston, a Marcus Howard, like a Malachi Finn, Peyton Pritchard. Can you hit on some of these lower guys to where we see these guys lower in the draft or even second rounders and point guards kind of flourish in a system? Again,
like, and I don't want to be mean here, but let's be realistic with ceiling.
Yes.
Do I think Cassius Winston is going to be a 25, 7-2 guy in the NBA?
Do you absolutely to a championship that though on the Knicks, or do you just need someone who is going to be a good facilitator and score maybe 15 a night?
Do I think he can score 15 12 a night? That's a question right there. I don't know.
Or even 12 a night. Like, do they need him to be the number two? Do they need their point guard to be the number two scorer behind RJ?
Well,
that's the question.
Look at where the NBA's been going. Let's take a look at champions.
Yeah.
LeBron James, point guard.
Yeah, but Steph LeBron Curry, James not even a point guard.
What's up?
LeBron James isn't technically a point guard. Like,
he is.
No, he's.
If Magic Johnson's point guard, LeBron James is point guard.
I would say LeBron is a point forward.
Well, he's point guard on the roster.
Rajon Rondo was their point guard.
He is a point guard on their roster, Ricky. I don't know what to tell you.
Not a point guard, but go on.
He's a point guard.
But go on.
You'll go down in the history books as a point guard on the Lakers.
Go on.
Steph Curry, Dame Lillard, James Harden. That's where you go in the playoffs. Is you have to have someone who's your primary ball handler who dominates the game. You can't have off-ball guys down. That's not how you win in the NBA.
I get that, but like my whole thing is, does that need?
You can get by with a Cassius Winston. I 100% say that.
But like
he is fine to get by, but you're not winning a championship with Cassius Winston as your starting point guard.
Yes, but at the same time, and this is the thing that like two of the guys you listed do the role of a point guard, but technically aren't a point guard. Like to me, James Harden, more of like, if I'm going to list him on a like depth chart, it's Russ is listed as the point guard, Harden's listed as a shooting guard, but Harden's my main ball handler. Same thing with LeBron. LeBron might be listed as the 2 or 3, probably the 3, but he's my main ball handler. Like Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's listed as my power forward, but he's running the offense. Like, that's the thing where I feel like the Knicks don't need a point guard to basically do what you're saying. If they feel like they can get in free agency a 2 to do that. If they feel like even next year's draft, because let's be honest, this Knicks team is not going to be looking for a championship next year.
No, but I don't know if they're going to be bad enough to be at the top of the draft again with ping pong balls going whatever direction they do go in.
It's New
How
York.
high were they this year?
It's New
Ricky,
York.
what number were they this year?
They got bounced to 8 because of the Bulls, I think, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think they were 4, right?
Yes, I think they were.
So,
right.
I mean, like, you can't count on that anymore. You can't say, we'll just suck again and get up there. And you know Tom Thibodeau, that man will not stand for sucking. He will just play your starters 40 fucking minutes a night and bleed them out. Like, RJ Barrett, watch yourself out there.
Yeah, it's the Knicks to me are the one to where it's like it's less likely to me that they trade up, but I'm not quite sure if they for sure trade back or stay put. Let's move on though. 11 through 30 is what we're going to list off and then kind of talk about some things. Dave, I'll let you go first. Starting at 11, the Spurs, because you didn't make a trade?
I did not make any trades with the Spurs. So yeah, at 11, I've got the Spurs going Obi Toppin. At 12, I've got the Kings going Isaac Okoro. At 13, I've got those Knicks via the Pelicans taking Tyrese Maxey. At 14, I've got the Celtics taking RJ Hampton. 15, the Blazers going with Aaron Nesmith. At 16, the Blazers, did I say that wrong already? Yeah, whatever. At 16, the Blazers going Sadiq Bey. At 17, the Timberwolves going Patrick Williams. At 18, the Mavs taking Jalen Smith. At 19, Nets are going to go with Precious Achiuwa. In reality, they're totally trading this pick, and I totally acknowledge that. At 20, the Heat are taking Cole Anthony. At 21, I've got the 76ers going Desmond Bane. 22, I've got the Nuggets going Leandro Bolmaro. At 23, I like the Jazz going Jaden McDaniels. 24, the Bucks going with Trey Jones. 25, I think the Thunder take a shot at Alexei Pokusevski. At 26, I'm going Celtics Josh Green. 27, I'm taking for the Knicks, Tyler Bey. At 28, the Lakers going with Jamias Ramsey. 29, the Raptors going for one of the best shooters in this draft in Grant Riller. And at 30, the Celtics wrapping up with Xavier Tillman.
Dave, I'm similar to you. I got 2 teams that did make trades to get into the top 10, and besides that, I don't got any trades the rest of this way.
I ran out of time. I already apologized up front for that.
For me, I've done so much research right now on, like I was telling Soapy, all of my research right now, because I've been doing it like team by team, is I'm to the Kings. So like I felt like with those first 12 picks, I was like, fuck yeah, man. I could talk backwards and forwards. I know what these teams need. And then like the rest of them, teams I haven't looked at as much, I was like, oh, fuck, what could this team like need? And actually have to like look at it. And it's like your trade brain kind of goes, I'm going to push back so you can actually figure out what they need. But at 11, I've got the Hawks that deal with the Spurs. They're going to take Patrick Williams. They're going to get a guy that can help them with their quest to compete now. The Cavaliers, their trade with the Kings put them at 12. They're going to take a Sadiq Bey, nice forward that they can get because god awful if they take another point guard. The Pelicans at 13 going Jalen Smith out of Maryland. The Celtics at 14 going RJ Hampton. Magic going Kira Lewis Jr. 16, the Blazers going with Aaron Nesmith out of Vandy. 17, the T-Wolves go Precious Achiuwa out of Memphis. Mavs at 18 go Tyrese Maxey, Kentucky. The Nets at 19 go Josh Green, Arizona. Heat, they go Malachi Flynn from San Diego State. 76ers 21 go with Dave's boy Tyrell Terry from Stanford. Nuggets going Trey Jones out of Duke at 22. The Jazz go Tyler Bey. Colorado at 23. Bucks go Pokusevski at 24. Thunders go Leandro Bolmaro at 25. Celtics go Desmond Bane at 26. Knicks going Cole Anthony, so the New York kid comes home at 27. Lakers go Jamias Ramsey at 28. Raptors go Zeke Nnaji at 29. And just because Soapy, you're out there and I love you, Xavier Tillman goes to the Celtics. MSU at 30. Dave, they're the first team I want to touch in this, the Celtics. We kind of mentioned them trading up with the Pistons. We talked about, would that be smart for the Pistons? Does Danny Ainge actually make a move? Does he actually make a move and trade those coveted draft picks?
No, but we're going to hear after this about how he offered 17 first-round picks for, the Hornets number 3 overall. Like, he really loved James Wiseman. But, the Hornets just didn't want 17 first-round picks. Those fucking idiots over there, stooges. How dare they? It writes itself, man. I can't say they'll do it until they do it. The problem is they literally don't have the roster slots to keep all of these picks. Like, they would have to waive the rights to – not waive the rights. They would have to walk away from – pretty much everybody they've got who is up right now, like Brad Wanamaker, who I thought played pretty well for the role he was given. But Semi Ojeleye would be gone, and I think there's a third guy who I'm blanking on. But yeah, like they literally are just so stacked roster-wise that they don't have enough slots for the talent they have the picks for. They either have to move back in years or move up in this draft with multiple picks. One way or the other, it's got to happen. If not, like, best case scenario, hey, we both have them going with RJ Hampton. I think we both have them going with Xavier Tillman. So, like, both those wouldn't be bad picks. Let's be honest. Like, I think RJ Hampton, we both like the upside from him. I think I mentioned earlier the Zach LaVine comp. I'd read it somewhere. Talk about his athleticism, his work ethic, his ability to jump like insane heights, and he's just got great bounce to him. So like there's a lot of upside to those picks. It's just we're watching, like Langford from last year got 25 minutes as a whole on the season with the main roster. So you're fighting for minutes with a team that is going to be a top 4 team in the East again. Yeah. Who has a star in Jaylen Brown, who has a star in Jason Tatum at the wing position already. So it's like you are fighting for position out there, man. They can do some interesting things, but they don't got enough minutes to go around sometimes.
And that's why for me, like, I look at this and I go, I wanted to make a deal with the Celtics so badly. I wanted them to go, because like there are 3 guys that I feel like I would trade up for if I was the Celtics. I'll start 3 and then go to 1. 3 would be Obi Toppin. 2 would be, who do I want to put here? Patrick Williams and Onyeka Okongwu are 1, 2. But it's like both of those guys I could see fitting to where it's like, I feel like trading at least 2 of your picks. Because like I know on the outside, not draft talk because like this deal wouldn't involve draft picks, but like even so you had Jeff Goodman on a podcast talk about even like, are they going to look to trade Gordon Hayward? And his quote was, the one wild card is Indiana. You say, yeah, he's hunkered down here. He likes it in Boston. Listen, he still goes home to Indiana whenever he can. That's still home to him. So to me, if I could swing some sort of deal, and I've heard the names, I just don't see Kevin Pritchard doing it, dealing Oladipo and like Miles Turner for Gordon and Daniel Theis. Like, really? Is Pritchard that dumb? I get Vic may want out of Indiana, but are you getting rid of him now? Like, that's the other thing that the Celtics have to think of is, are you going to deal Gordon Hayward? Because if you're going to deal Gordon Hayward, maybe I don't trade 14 because maybe I like an RJ Hampton to fit in where Gordon Hayward is. Or is it just it doesn't matter if I trade Gordon Hayward, I need to trade up to get a 4 or a 5 and a NECA or a Patrick Williams who can help me now, and it's one less roster spot I have to worry about trying to not fill.
No, I'm totally with you on that. Like, the problem is they have too many options. I don't know, like, it sounds dumb to say, but like, yes, you have picks and you have a guy on your team who you can move. Some even have linked Gordon Hayward's the obvious one, but some have even linked Marcus Smart, who the notorious flopper, perhaps the best flopper of all time, some would say, as a trade asset out there. And it's like, dude, you guys have a billion picks. You've got great pieces on this team. What's it going to take to put you over the top? And I think that's the problem is like, what's your timeline look like realistically? When do you want to compete? Because, well, Kemba Walker's on this team. I should talk Kemba Walker a whole lot in those playoffs.
Yeah.
I think my feelings on him are very clear.
Are they, Dave?
Are they?
New viewers might not know. You might have to refresh those views.
Talked a lot of shit about somebody who seems like a scummy, dirty player. Just a very, very funny. Petty, dirty player. Maybe got it from Marcus Smart. Who knows? But Marcus Smart
got it from my dad.
I don't know what it is about him. Like, I can get angry, but like I can't stay angry at Marcus Smart because he's good at basketball.
Yeah.
Kemba Walker, there's just something about him where I just no redeeming qualities. I have to go all the way back to UConn to be happy about Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, could they go for Vic? Absolutely. I think Vic would be an interesting one because, hey, that gives them that secondary ball handler out there. It gives like their offense, everyone can attack. And I think that's what keeps people back. But like when you look, are they planning around beating who's at the top, or are they planning for themselves kind of thing? It's that mixed bag. It's like, well, if you want to beat the Heat, how do you beat the Heat? Well, if you want to beat the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis, how do you do that? Well, what about the 76ers with Embiid? Can anyone slow him down? So it's like, are you going for Vic? Are you going for Miles Turner? Are you going for someone like already trying to do that pick and pull from the Hawks on Clint Capella to fill that center role, or Vucci Main, or Aaron Gordon? Like, there's so many guys they could go after. And I think that's the frustrating thing about it. You can make the case that all of them are good moves.
Yeah,
Every single one of those guys would help your team depending on what it costs to get them. But like in theory, they all could work out for you. So I just don't know that Danny Ainge loves any of them is the problem. Because he does seem to have a particular type of like athletic, like high upside kind of wings that he goes for. Like it seems like he's kind of in a role that he's just going after.
So he's going to trade up for Isaac Okoro, right?
He might. I mean, who knows?
Add another wing to this team.
Jay Tate slides over to the 4. You pop Okoro in at the 3. Langford continues to play no minutes off the bench. You know.
I mean, that's why for me, like, if I'm the Celtics, out of all the years we've talked about them trading up, this is the one that seems the easiest for me.
They have to.
And the reason why it's the easiest is I call the Pistons and I call the Knicks. Either one of those two teams, you can get a deal done. Because like we mentioned with the Pistons earlier, it's like they need people. Like you're giving them, like even if it's 14 and 20, what is it, 26? Yeah, 26.
Yes.
For the 7th or 8th. I think that's enough to get it done. And either one of those picks I think you go for, because to me, the guy in the draft in that top 10 that would be perfect for them is Onyeka Okongwu. Like, just give me the guy who, most see him as a 4, but like his rim protecting is what I'm looking for. Like, match that with the core you already have, and that's what the Celtics are missing, a rim protector. Like,
a lot of people are talking about how, Onyeka would struggle against someone like Joel Embiid. And I'm like, name someone who stops Joel Embiid other than
Anthony
last
Davis
year.
Or someone like that. Like,
like
somebody who's an established vet.
Yeah. Now, nobody's going to walk. Like, Miles Turner gets roasted by him. Andre Drummond gets roasted by him.
Yeah.
Vucci Main gets roasted. Like, all the guys in the East get roasted. There's no center who has been like, I shut him up outside of like literally Al Horford. Serge Ibaka, maybe that's one that could be interesting, but he's now, I believe, a free agent.
Yeah, team defense is how you're gonna beat.
Yeah,
like Joel. Or to me, how I would beat him is you have a Onyeka there to be like the stopper, like between the rim and him. But
he's
it's
the funnel. You funnel people to Onyeka Okongwu.
Yeah, but it's like Joel Embiid. Once he gets the ball, swarm him. Like make it so he can't move. To where it's like, okay, I either gotta pass it.
Which he turns over the ball a lot doing that.
Yeah, or he turns over the ball. Like, I mean, it's not going to be one-on-one how you beat those guys. So, like, that to me is the first sure move. Like, and like Obi Toppin, I don't really like him with the Celtics only because it's his offense that people like. It's not his defense. And I think that...
And the Celtics don't need more offense. They need more ball handlers at times, but not more offense. They need guys who can slow and stop people. They need defensive-minded players sometimes.
Like even like a Patrick Williams, who, yes, he'd be at the 4, not the 5, but like he's also someone who can also has an offensive shot, can shoot from the outside.
He's physically imposing enough. Yeah. And he's got offensive upside, so you hope that would work out. Yeah, I think Obi Toppin rumors, those confuse me a lot with the Celtics.
The two teams I want to get to before we touch Retro's Clippers question are the Nets and the Heat, because they're two similar teams in my mind, because everything that you said about the Nets was you're like, oh, they're going to go with Precious Achiuwa, trade this pick. That's what they're going to do.
I picked Precious because I could not find a trade partner in time. Precious fits what they need as far as they need a 4 who
you were going to have them if you could have them trade it.
Yeah, I would. Ideally, this pick is being traded.
The same thing has been said about the Heat, where everything I'm seeing is like, oh, well, they could go with a Malachi Flynn, they could go with a Desmond Bane, they could go with a like Cole Anthony, a point guard. Yep. Or like what Pat Riley has been like, we could just pick someone for someone else and then trade them. Like that could be easily in play for the Heat. And is that the best move for these two teams that are playoff teams? Like the Heat don't really need, like what the Heat need is not in the draft. What the Celtics need might not be in the draft. Like should we expect that out of the Nets and the Heat specifically?
I mean, the Heat will find answers anywhere they can. Like Pat Riley.
Even if it means trading Bol to the Nuggets.
That was his worst mistake ever. And if that's your biggest mistake in your career, you're doing pretty well for yourself there with all them rings. No, I mean, like, I love the idea of the Heat going with Cole Anthony as a backup guard because, obviously Goran Dragic, you don't know what that injury situation, like, he did limp out there, but, like, what does that do to the contract value? Do you have any questions? Do you think that he's going to cost a bunch? Are you going to get him on a 1-year deal so that way you can keep the max available for a Giannis contract? Or do you think that you're going to attack Giannis midseason and the Bucks for some reason are going to give in and trade Giannis? Like, I don't know what their game plan is, but Cole Anthony here could make a lot of sense because it gives you somebody else who incredible upside. Was talking with Retro in chat and Twitch right now about it. It's like, look, man, he kind of has he has an it factor to him. When he goes off, like he is special. And I love that about Cole Anthony, but he also, has, I call it Brennan Jennings vibes, where I'm like, this guy could score 51, or he could ruin every chance we have of winning this game. Like, that's not a Heat player in my mind. Someone who has that mentality, not a team first mentality, doesn't fit there. But I think Cole Anthony has the work ethic and has the drive to be a fit on that Heat team. And that's what I was trying to match there is like, man, if anybody's going to be able to work their ass off, live, breathe, die with, the Jimmy Butler mentality, Cole Anthony has proven through everything I've seen from him, his story, his interviews, and everything about his life. Like, he absolutely could thrive down there in Miami.
Another player that's like that where, yet again, you have your criticisms of him, but this is not like an on the court thing. This is like a mental thing. Another player that fits that, but he's not going to be around for the Heat, is like everything. So Isaac Okoro. I was, while doing Suns research, the one blog that I found, I think it was the SB Nation one, they put a tweet, like embedded a tweet, and they're like, watch this video and tell me you don't love Isaac Okoro. And it's basically like Bruce Pearl, another Auburn teammate, like talking about the work ethic of Okoro and like how hard he works and stuff. And you're like, yeah. Like, with that, like, you start to like him. Like, there was a clip that made me laugh where his teammate was like, yeah, we're playing this one team, blah, blah, blah. And he dunked on a guy. And he goes, I just wish they made him go, like, dunk on everybody, man, because he can fucking do it. But, like, Okoro's not going to be there for the Heat. Like, that's the kind of guy the Heat need, is a guy that is... And I've seen a lot of blogs post this, and I think it's unfair. Everyone's like, who's going to be the next Tyler Hero in the draft? And it's like, Tyler Hero is a guy that there's not many of them. They don't make them in factories. Like, these are guys that are basically like the creme de la creme. And the reason why they're the creme de la creme is because, like, what we talk about with quarterbacks in the NFL, what's above the shoulders is their strongest asset.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, his work ethic is elite. His shooting, I mean, we watched it in college.
And that's what Jimmy needs, guys like that.
Dude,
that's what he didn't have in Minnesota.
Yeah. It's true. It's true. But no, I mean, like there was that whole, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Tyler Hero. There's a lot of guys who go after the top 10 who have an it factor to them who can take over games. And I love the fact that we're looking for another one. But yeah, not every year there's going to be a guy who can be like, well, that's the one this year. I mean, we kind of joked around about the what was it? Shit. Who's the guy on the Pacers? Pacers point guard right now.
Oh, it's not Vic. It's is it TJ Warren? No, not TJ Warren.
Point guard.
I'm gonna look it up, Dave. I'm gonna look it up.
We literally named a draft award after him every year.
Malcolm Brogdon.
Malcolm Brogdon award winner. Yeah, the President Award winner. Like
the rookie of the year.
We memed it because every year there's just that old guy in the draft who nobody wants to take who just he's excellent. He's just Brogdon excellent, award.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, I had already pin-marked Cassius Winston for that one this year, but we'll see.
We'll get to now Retro's question, the Clippers. I'm gonna be honest, Dave. I don't see a way they trade into the first round. Do you?
Looking at the Clippers team, I mean, what would you want out of the first round is my first question.
Retro says he wants Jamias Ramsey. That's what he wants. Maybe it's Retro being a Clippers fan, for those of you who don't know. Just targeting one guy and wanting it. To me, it's like the Clippers, it's like if they're trying to win now and fix what they didn't in the playoffs, how does adding a rookie from the draft help that? That's my question.
Well, it can. Hence Tyler Hero.
It can. But who's that player? Like, I don't.
Yeah, I mean, right now, their biggest weakness in the playoffs was just that the team as a whole had issues with cohesion. They didn't have a true point guard out there. Now they've already been linked to Rondo. They want Rondo. Rondo's listening. Question is if Rondo would join. The problem is they don't know that until after the draft. Well, they can't sign him at least until post-draft. And would Rondo leave? Yeah, you don't want Rondo, but the Clippers want Rondo. Deal with it, Retro. That's the facts.
I don't want Rondo.
The question is would they take a shot at a point guard in the draft? I think Trey Jones would be excellent for them. I think he would be nice. I think, do they though? I think Trey Jones would be the guy. If you're trading up to the back, to the last 5 picks in the first round, he's the guy I'm targeting if I'm the Clippers, because Trey Jones has great passing, great shooting from the outside. Yeah. He's a smart player. Like, everything about him seems like he's a quiet guy who can walk in, help the team win.
That's why I love him on the Nuggets. That's why I had him on the Nuggets, to where it's like he's not a guy that's going to be your main scorer. That's going to be fucking Murray. He's a guy that can help facilitate and make sure the ball moves so it gets into your guys' hands. Like, I fucking like Trey Jones.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy. So, like, that's the problem is you have to fill in a void there. Otherwise, at the 4, like, you truly do need to find someone, because obviously they fuck themselves up when they're like, we don't want to play Zubac. Zubac's a joke on social media, so we got to go with somebody else. And guess Zubac wasn't doing that bad. Yeah. They got to find somebody who can stop or slow down Anthony Davis and LeBron James attacking the rim. Maybe that's Naturu at the end, but like that's asking a lot out of someone like that. So I don't know about that. Like that's the other question. Or do you take a risk on a second rounder and go for who's the player who's injured every single year in college? He's a center as a Buket. Why can't I pronounce his name in my head?
Which one?
I gotta pull spot rack.
I was looking in fucking Twitch chat at Soapy and Retro. Soapy said, except that Franklin the Turtle is going to be a Clipper next year. Retro says no. Soapy says yes. Retro said stop. I'll fight you.
Fucking awful.
I love you guys.
It. I was gonna say
who are they even trading?
As a Buki.
Who are they even trading in a trade to get into the? Like, that's another thing. Is it a Marooks? Is it a Lou Will?
I would not give up Marooks unless I had to.
That's the thing. Who are you trading to get back into this first round?
He's under contract right now. He's a Is he a free agent?
Who, Marooks?
Yeah.
Maybe. He might be. Let me see. Let me pull this up.
I got multi-year summary contracts
My
active.
face is going to get really white shit, just so you know.
Yeah, I think Marooks is
I got the page here. I just got to find Clippers. Yeah, Marooks is a free. So their free agents are Harold Marooks, Patrick Patterson, Reggie Jackson, Motley's restricted, and Jermichael Green's a player op.
Yeah. So like, they don't have a ton to work with already.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Bev would be one who, just out of sheer hatred of Pat Bev, I would trade off of a team that can compete. Mm-hmm. He might have value. Shamit, I wouldn't give up because I love his shooting. And then you're pretty much stuck. Like, you need to keep somebody like Magruder around, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Jermichael Green, you got to bring back, I think.
Question.
Zubac, you're stuck with. Kabinjali, you're stuck with. So, yeah, like, you don't really have a ton of assets to go spend and get anybody. You got your exceptions to use, and that's about it in free agency. So, I don't know what you're moving outside of sign and trade. Oh, it's true. You can do sign and trades. Mm-hmm. So,
here's a question I have, and this comes from, yet again, blog, OKC Thunder Wire, USA Today.
Sure.
What do you think of this trade? How the hell, why do they have Warriors receive? This would not be a Warriors thing. It'd be a Clippers thing. Pat Bev, Joakim Noah, a 2023 second rounder, a 2024 second rounder for Dennis Schroeder. Like, should the Clippers be looking for a Schroeder and not a, like, person?
I don't know if that's enough for him. I don't know if the Thunder want to let him go for that. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm the Clippers, I would 100%. Yeah, I agree, Retro. I would take Schroeder or Schroeder.
But like Pat Bev and Joakim and 2 future seconds that are 2 and 3 years, 3 and 4 years down the line.
Yeah, well, by that point, they might not have Kawhi or whatever, so you might be pick 34. You know.
Well, the one of the second rounders is Detroit's second rounders.
You might be pick 34. Sorry, Soaps.
Detroit's still gonna be bad. I just don't see where the Clippers trade back into the first round. Like,
yeah, they're a team that's going to play around the minimums, the exceptions, people who are still hoping to chase rings with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I agree. Lou Will and Pat Bev are both guys who I would probably try to move on from because I'm an asshole. I don't know what the local fans think about that. Like, Lou Will is such a weird case of, like, he's instant offense, but once you get the ball in his hands, you feel like you've won. Like, Kawhi doesn't have the ball right now this possession. It's going to be a pretty good possession for us statistically. Like, it's going to work out. So, like, if you play that way, great. They're a rough team to try to land back in the first round because, like we said, like, sign and trades can only happen after. Yeah. So you can't.
It would almost have to be something like, hey, we're talking to you about this deal. Oh, you want this guy? We'll take it, and then
the Wiggins K Love thing.
Yeah.
You know, they couldn't trade him, so the Cavs picked Wiggins. We all knew what was happening, and 2 weeks later, or whatever, a month later, the trade went through.
Speaking of that, off the topic a little bit, when I was working my trades with the top 10, you know who I almost had trade up to 2? Was the Cavs. But then
moving Wiggins for Love?
But that no, not Wiggins for Love. It was just adding Wiggins to get, like, the 2. And then I was thinking, no, they're not going to bring Wiggins back to Cleveland.
Why not?
I just don't think they, like, not that it would be a bad move, just because I don't think Cleveland would, the memes that would be created from that, Dave, would be. I
would. Would you do a Wiggins for Kevin Love and a 2-5 swap?
Potentially. Like, K-Love's not happy. Like, that's
no shit.
And Wiggins has 3 years left, so even if I have to move Andre Drummond, like, it's not like here's the thing. How does Wiggins work with Sexton and Garland?
How does Sexton and Garland Sexland work together anyway? They suck. Kevin Porter Jr. might be the best player, and he was selected so late in the draft. Dude, people forget about that.
Soapy was talking about that today. He's like, KPJ was almost a Piston.
I told you guys KPJ. I warned everyone about
I liked
KPJ.
KPJ.
I tried to spread the good word about KPJ. By the way, if we're talking people
Yeah.
who aren't being respected right now,
Go ahead.
can I remind you
Go ahead.
of a McDaniels? Not in your first round.
No, he's not.
Why do you not have one of the highest upside prospects in this draft in your first round?
Because A, it comes down to what I said about fucking 13 through 30. 2, it's also because like I went fucking heavy guard here. Like he would have been in play for the Heat, but then I saw Malachi Flynn and I was like, yep, he's the guy for the Heat. Like just plug him in there. Like I hate like the end of the draft I really hated doing because it was just one of like maybe it's because I'm more passionate about the top 10. To where it's like all these teams in the bottom half, it's just like, okay, like the Celtics, I'll be honest, Desmond Bane probably should have been higher on my mock, but I literally saw that the Celtics interviewed him and are high on him, so I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to fit Bane into 26 and kind of work around it that way to where like, I would say 19 through 30, Dave. Crapshoot. Anything can happen there because it's just a bunch of
I think
like,
we'll see a couple trades. I think we'll see probably 3 trades between 15 and 30 this year.
And I am done.
2 trades before, 3 trades after.
I am done doing Thunder trades because remember last year I was so convinced the Thunder were going to trade that pick because they didn't need the pick. They want to go after this guy, and then they make the pick, and it's like, ooh, I was off on that one.
It was a great pick. It's a great pick.
Any final thoughts on the draft? Anything?
I think it was fun. Like we haven't talked draft in such a long time.
Well, we took the hiatus, and then like we were in that period. Like we took the hiatus, then we're in the period of like the last 2 months have just been like the new MVP. Like
yeah,
we did it. We did a complete shift of like
screw you, Retro.
We're no longer
first rounder.
What'd he do? Oh,
he said, I don't think McDaniels goes in the first round either.
He could if a team really like. That's the thing. If a team late really likes him, he could. His
brother, who's worse than him, it looks really good, and he got taken so late in the second, and now I'm like, I think he goes early.
Another guy I don't have in my mocks that a lot of other mocks had was Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one though. I got no problem. I agree with you. The bigs this year are so tough to judge, and they're so undervalued. Perhaps like Carey will come off the bench his rookie year and give you like 10 points in like 14 minutes a game or something. Like you just can't take a big off like an offensive only big because of what happened in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Can't do it, won't do it.
Can't stop, won't stop, Dave. Can't stop, won't stop.
It's not our fault. We've just been burned by this. Paul Reed, love Paul Reed. He's going in the second round.
Remember when he was mocked as high as like the late lottery?
Yeah, he got exposed a little. The more games he played, the worse he looked. He's still good. I think he still contributes at a good enough level to hang in the NBA for like 3-4 years, no problem.
Well, Dave, at least this was the actual first 2020 mock draft where you didn't have to hear me say a certain name that I'm not gonna say because he's not in the draft no more.
Ayo DeSumo, get some.
Hopefully, wear your masks, people. We need a basketball season so Illinois can win the ship this year. That's what we need. But that's going to do it for our mock draft. Let us know what you guys think, as always. Make sure to join the Discord if you haven't already. Link down below if you're on YouTube.
Let us know if there's anybody in this draft who you want to hear more about, because we kind of covered a couple guys in the second half. But if there's any pick or team you want us to do deep dives on, Ricky's going to have his series coming out where he talks about the teams and who they should be targeting.
I actually changed that, so it's going to come out the 6th.
Okay.
Yeah, just because I want to give the gold patrons their
advance notice.
Yeah, their money's worth, to where it's like not 4 days before it comes out, it's an actual week like we promised them.
Dope.
But
yeah, point being, let us know if there's any team you want to hear more about. I love talking draft. I'll probably put out some own draft content if I can ever get done working and get off my lazy ass.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's just sitting on your lazy ass.
Well, get off. I need to stand up at some point.
Yeah, I get you. We got to get Dave like the wall where he can like fucking write shit and do like the green screen.
I've got a giant white space right here. I've looked at getting those boards, but they keep selling out on Amazon.
Dave gets the LED boards that he can like touch, so he feels like he's on ESPN.
I don't want to touch it and pull like screens.
You know what? Let's pull up the payroll here, Ricky. Let's look at this.
I just made a hand gesture that I really regret.
Oh man, but that's gonna do it for us. Make sure if you want to support our dumbasses, make sure to check out patreon.com/MVP
players from one position to another.
Just totally ignored it, but yeah. Oh man, your face is red as your shirt, Dave, and I love it. You can also support us by going to twitch.tv/MVP vids, throwing us a sub where we're live every Monday through Friday, but we're also on YouTube at MVP Sports. Want to thank you all for being in here tonight. Love the interaction with you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. For those of you who are in the Discord, we're probably going to be in the Discord soon. So let us know. And as always, have a good day, everybody.